with us.
Yeah, we're going to have your code and your ticker on this network, and you can't stop it from being traded.
Right.
And so there's a derivative, and then if there's liquidity bonding the prices together, so if, let's say you have Chainlink on Ethereum, and then after launch, price bounces around a while, but I bet that over time that these prices will move similarly.
Right.
I think that the Link ticker on Pulsechain is likely to move similarly to the Link ticker on Ethereum.
Right. Just because of the bridge, right? And
well, because they're bonded by the liquidity.
Right.
And then it's the same code with the same ticker. Now, do you want to pay $100 or $300 to trade it on Ethereum, or do you want to pay a penny to trade it over here? And we already know this answer because they're doing it on other networks as well.
Yeah.
People do trading on alternate networks, and then we're the one that you don't like. Your coins are already here. You don't even have to bridge over.
Right.
You've already got your free coins here. You can already access them by changing one setting in your MetaMask. It's awesome.
Dude, it sounds
well.
It sounds pretty awesome.
Well, that's the trick. That's the magic. Is you launch this whole network with all these new coins. How do you get those new coins to be valuable?
Right.
But by not letting anyone ever stop the trading, by having the same tickers, and by giving people a reason to back the value of the things they got free.
Right.
By rewarding them with a yield farming token. It's like a giant vampire attack, basically. It's a giant vampire attack.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got a cool poll in there today, so get in on that poll. When will the bull market kick into mega move? I just made up my own question there. We got August, September, October, November. Get in there and vote, and we'll check on that a bit later on. So very, very exciting. We've got the market on the move at the moment, consolidating, but on the move higher. And of course, we've got the president's Trump's keynote speaking session on the 27th on Saturday in the US for the Bitcoin conference. So very, very bullish. Excuse me. Getting there a bit better with the voice, slightly on the mend, I guess. We got Lights Beneath the Truth there. How are you? Very, very good. Let me just put this other computer here on the mute. We've got Hex, Pulsechain, and incentive for the 100%. That is the maxi strategy of the channel. We got Hexafader in the house. Howdy, howdy. Hope you're doing well out there. Doing the hard work for the DCA, as it says. We've got, who else jumped in here? We've got Brendan in the house there, Morning Suit Man from Melbourne. Big shout out to everybody over in Melbourne. We've got quite a few people in the Discord that are from Melbourne. So big shout out to all you folk. We've got Clintrons in the house. G'day, g'day, folks. Hey, Clintrons, hope you're doing well. And Brennan said, let's the games begin. Indeed, let the games begin. And we're going to talk about that. So we're going to be watching a bit of a video on the Bitcoin conference leading with Pompliano. Many of you know who he is. So that should be a bit insightful as well. Let's get straight into it, folks. Let's get into the stock market. So stock market Dow in fourth weekly win as data puts September rate cut in play. So like I say, a very bullish signal for September. But then straight cuts are really, really big for the market. Not so good for the stock market, but good for the rest of the markets. And it should fuel crypto as well. We've got the Dow Jones at the moment up 1.6% at 654 points. So a massive move back higher for the Dow Jones, 40,589. Is a big stamp after those several days of retrace. Now we have a big recovery. We've got the S&P 500 up 1.1%, 60 points to 5,459, and the NASDAQ up over 1%, 180 points to 17,361. And of course, we know that the techs were shedding off the index. That is back up today, so pretty cool. US dollar down just very slightly at 104.07 on the index. Let's have a look at commodities. Commodities are definitely down. We got West Texas down $1.85 to $76.44. Brent oil down 2.17%, $1.80 at $80. Now, obviously, that's come towards the end of the US summer. When obviously in the US summer they have a lot of driving, and of course across the states. So for people with holidays and road trips and things like that. So that's coming towards the end of the summer. We got gold at the moment up 1.37%, $32 to $2,385. And silver there up 0.3%, 9 cents to $28.06. And of course, we're going to be watching silver. That's going to be probably a big thing moving ahead, especially with the interest rate pivot in September. Now, we did have some very important data out, cooling inflation data, put September rate cut in play. The PCE price index, the US Federal Reserve's preferred inflation metric, rose 0.1% on a monthly basis in June and 2.5% annually, both as expected. So it's pretty important there. Just let me fix something here on the mic as well. Get in on our poll, don't forget. Do just adjust the settings here on the mic before we move a bit further here. Waiting for that to open. And let's wait for that. So anyway, while the Federal Reserve's meeting next week is too soon for a rate cut, so that's the July meeting. The Fed is likely to stoke expectation for a cut to begin in September, and that's super bullish for us in crypto. We expect the FOMC to leave the Fed funds rate unchanged this week, but for the communication to foreshadow rate cuts ahead, says Macquarie. So that is the details there. We go to the Fed rate monitor. We can see what the market expects about that for the next meeting. So the next Fed meeting is only in 4 days and 17 hours away. So let me reset this microphone. Let me just pull that up. I'm waiting for that to show my default settings. There we go. And bam. All right, so that's being applied. And we'll get rid of that. All right, so 4 days and 17 hours to go. And we're expecting a no change in the federal funds rate for July. So that's at 94% almost. September is when the whole market is expecting to pivot. So that's the good news so far. So September looking really good for the interest rate pivot. All right, so that should be good for crypto, good for commodities. That's kind of where we're heading there. That leads us into the crypto markets. And we can see it's green across the board here, $67,934 for Bitcoin, up 3.24%. So nice little rebound there. Big shout out to Brian, our community leader. I'm not sure if he's watching at the moment, but he'll be very happy about that. We've got Ethereum there up 3.1%, $3,275. So a nice little bounce back there for Ethereum after the sell the news event for the ETF. The other thing was not only did we have that, but we had the stock market pullback right on those days. So that's kind of probably influenced the Ethereum outcome as well. Looking at BNB at 1.7%, $581. XRP up 0.2% at 60 cents. ADA making a decent move at up 5.7% at 41.7. I'm not sure if we've heard about the Chain fork yet. Let us know in the chat there if you guys have heard anything further about the Chain fork. And some of you may follow Michael Hodgkinson, I should say, quite closely. We got $182 on Solana, up 6.27%. So that's ticking away also, but pretty flat on a lot of these others here, or pretty low. We got 1.4% on Tron, but Litecoin now up 3.7%, Matic up 3.5%. Some of the leaders there moving along. All right, so that is it, the overview. Let's go to Bitcoin itself. Now, I've talked about the crypto market consolidation and bullish outlook. It's definitely looking the case there. I mean, look at this Bitcoin chart here on the daily. We are above the 200 moving average, which is in blue. That's at 59,183. And we got the 50-day at $63,923. And we're well above that at 67,900. The key important level here is the fact that we sort of broke. If we take this line here, we break through this line, right? So this resistance, we broke through it, and now we've been getting support. So if we have a look at support here, been getting support around this 63,400 mark. That's the mark we need to hold, right? That's the mark we need to hold, folks. 63,400, and we have tested it, right? So we broke through. And then we came back and tested this level. We've come back up again, tested it again, and now we're off to the races here at 67,900. And obviously, we've got coming up on the 27th is the President Trump at the Bitcoin conference. So what's going to be said there? We'll talk about a pivot in regulatory moves, obviously, and of course, potentially even more as if they added Bitcoin to the strategic assets along with gold and things like that. So that's kind of what we're looking for there from President Trump. So either or both of those, super bullish. So that's kind of the play there at the moment. That leads us into Pompliano, who's got a bit of a video on that, so we're going to watch that as well Before we do that, though, let's get in and say hello to a few other people that jumped in the chat there. Crypto Furio, hello, everybody. Hey, good shout out to you, and big shout out to the Syndicate from the Mafia game. Check my pulse. Good evening, Superman. Good evening to you. Or what's a shaking a hexagons, says check my pulse. All right, let's get into this Pompliano video, and this is about 7 minutes long, so enjoy.
Crypto connoisseurs from all over the world are going to converge in Nashville tomorrow for that annual Bitcoin conference. And remember that in a show of how politics is impacting the industry, that is where former President Donald Trump is set to deliver the keynote address. We're going to talk more about this with Anthony Pompliano, founder of Pomp Investments. And first of all, there's a keynote to talk about tomorrow. There's also the reaction that you're seeing in markets. What is Bitcoin in a volatile stock market? Why isn't it seen as more of a risk asset?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things is Bitcoin is the most certain thing in the world, right? If you actually go and you look at it, Bitcoin is computer code that is auditable by anyone in the world. And regardless of what happens in markets, whether people want more Bitcoin, less Bitcoin, whether interest rates are high, low, et cetera, the software continues to execute exactly as it's designed. The reason why that's important is it's the 180-degree difference than traditional markets, right? If you go and you look, when people want more dollars, we figure out how to put more dollars into the market. When people need more dollars, we put more dollars into the market. And so because of that certainty, what happens is in times of uncertainty or chaos, people flock to Bitcoin. And so you can see this over the last 2 weekends where we had political instability or political kind of chaos, people flocked to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price went up. And so I think that certainty ends up being something on a global basis that people are starting to familiarize themselves with and put capital into.
So speaking of politics, Donald Trump is, of course, speaking at this conference. We have another person on later, Anthony Scaramucci, of course, big buyer of Bitcoin, who says Kamala Harris is just as good for Bitcoin. Is Trump really the pro-crypto candidate?
I actually don't think it matters in terms of who is going to do what for Bitcoin or crypto. I think what is more important is that there is one side of the political aisle at the moment that realizes that this is a really important point for 50 plus million Americans. And so whether you call it pandering to them or they're actually going to do it, you're not going to know that until after the election, right? And so one of the interesting things is Donald Trump is positioning himself as the pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto candidate for sure. I think what the Democrats have to decide is, are you going to cede that point to Donald Trump? Are you going to say, hey, you get to be the pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto candidate, and we're going to be the anti? I think actually what would be better for them and kind of the game theory that Bitcoiners have talked about for a long time is, no, you should just become pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto as well, and therefore you take away that advantage that he has with that voter base. And so we've seen this at the state and local level, right? We've seen states compete over these people. I do think it will come to national politics, and my expectation is that whoever gets into the White House will end up being pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto, because this is such a large voter base now that they're going to have to cater to them.
I really, really like that point you just made, and we actually asked the CEO of Ripple about that. He attended the RNC, notably. He's also going to attend the DNC. Here's what he had to say about politics and Bitcoin.
This should have never really become a partisan issue. I think all of us should embrace technical innovation, and these are technologies that truly can transform the cost and efficiency of financial transactions particularly. And so our message is really that we as an industry want to be regulated. We want to have the clarity of that regulation.
We as an industry want to be regulated. Is that something that the industry wants? I mean, when people are attending this Bitcoin conference, how many people? 30,000?
Oh, there's going to be a lot. Yeah,
okay.
Tens of thousands for sure.
Tens of thousands of people. They want regulation?
I think that everyone who operates a business wants to understand what are the rules, right? One of the beauties of America is in a capitalistic society, it's all about competition. Let me compete. But in order to compete, you need to know what those rules are. And so there's two schools of thoughts on this. Some people say, hey, look, all the existing rules already apply here and we don't need to change anything. But think about decentralization as an example. If you have a decentralized organization, how do you regulate that? What are the rules if you're the developer that's going to create that technology? So there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think that's where people are saying, tell us what the rules are, let us go compete. Now, what I do think is also really important is some other countries have rules in place. We may not agree with them or we may like them, but if other places get clarity and we don't have the clarity, now all of a sudden they have an advantage because entrepreneurs in those jurisdictions can go and compete before us.
Right, and they've set the standard in many ways, right?
Well, the other thing too, you just formed a new investment company. You invest in crypto, but you invest outside of crypto as well. What are you doing on a day like today?
Yeah, so I tend to be very long-term oriented. I don't really like to trade anything in the short term.
Are you buying the dip?
So with crypto, we usually will buy the dip. We'll buy Bitcoin. We've been buying Solana over the last year or so. And really the thought process there is like, over the next 5 to 10 years, there's one major theme. If you get it right in finance, you're going to make money. If you miss the theme, you're going to be on the wrong side of the trade, which is the dollar is going to be devalued. We have seen the national debt go up with Republicans and Democrats both in office. The Congress, Senate, and whoever's leading the presidential seat, they have to continue to devalue that dollar. And so naturally, getting into investments and holding for the long term, you should do pretty well. And so I think that people try to make things a little bit too complicated. They're trying to pick individual stocks, et cetera. The United States of America does a fantastic job of giving us access to capital markets. Put your money to work, shut up, sit down, sit on your hands, don't touch it, and just let the asset prices go up. And so when you see that happening, whether it's crypto or stocks, really all you're asking yourself is how much volatility can I stomach, right? Both of them are going to go up over the long run because you're going to get a devalued dollar. The question is, can you sit there and see something draw down 60, 70, 80% and be okay? There's a lot of people who are sitting at home saying, I can't do that, so they should probably go in the stock market. But there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I'm fine with that. And those are the people who are going to go and buy these crypto assets.
The election is right around the corner. Again, you just started a new firm. You may want to be putting money in new stocks. Do you think that there's a lot more volatility headed into the election? Do you wait for a minute so you don't stomach that volatility?
The data definitely suggests that we get more volatility in the second half of election years. So I think that we would be dumb to kind of fight that trend. And I do think that we'll continue to see that volatility, especially if you just look, we're only in the month of July and we've already had assassination attempts. We've seen the president candidate drop out, et cetera. But I also think that asset prices end up not really being affected by presidents as much as people would like to say, right? So if you go and you talk to Republicans, they'll tell you how bad of a job Joe Biden's done. Stock market's at all-time highs. Under President Trump, people were yelling and screaming about how bad of a job he was doing. Stock market was at all-time highs. And so I really do think that the president matters for a lot of different policies. Leadership matters. But when it comes to asset prices, the market tends to be much more insulated than people would like to assume.
So, Anthony, you're going to head over to Nashville and attend the Bitcoin conference. Your number one prediction for what news we're going to get out of it?
Yeah.
This conference tends to make news.
Definitely makes news. So one of the themes over the last couple of years has been people have gone there and specifically nation states have said, El Salvador being the first one, hey, we are going to embrace this asset. There's this rumor that Donald Trump is going to call for a national strategic reserve of Bitcoin for the United States. What's interesting about that is if you call for it before you actually go do it, you're probably going to, as a country, buy Bitcoin at a higher price than before if you had bought it and then announced it. But I do think that the United States at some point is going to create a national strategic reserve of Bitcoin. I do think that Donald Trump is likely to be one of the candidates, if not the candidate, to push that forward. And once one says it, I think that not only will you get that to become a popular narrative throughout all of U.S. politics, you also will see many other countries start talking about it as well.
All right, good stuff. But again, we have to be cautious of putting the cart before the horse as well. Anthony Pompliano, thank you so much, founder of Pomp Investments.
All right, so that is some of the action there. Now, a couple of comments I'd like to make is that there's probably a bigger theme here, and that is that Democrats are the party of removing freedom and putting in controls. So that's probably the big pivot there. And Trump and, of course, the Republicans there more in the party of more freedom and protecting that protecting democracy. So that's kind of a fundamental principle sitting there. And hopefully we'll get Trump supporting the innovation of crypto as well. And so, let's see where that heads to on Saturday. We've got Crypto Elite in the house there. Oh, good to see you in the house. Check my poll says, I like Trump as keynote speaker. I saw him speak in Charlotte, North Carolina, keynote speaker for the ACN convention. Absolutely. And we got markets do well, both parties in the US, because they both poured out by the same donor class. Yeah, well, there's certainly a lot of those market participants that to keep the markets going. That includes GDP, right? GDP as well. Now obviously us outside, I'm in New Zealand. We're desperately hoping that Trump wins so that we maintain that freedom and Western values, because otherwise you start heading into terrible subcultures and tyranny. So we're fingers crossed on that. Fingers crossed on that. And we're sick of the wars as well, right? Wars lead to lots of bad outcomes. So we won't be able to enjoy our crypto if the world's at war. So let's move forward here. We've got that is Bitcoin, so looking pretty bullish with the keynote speaks tomorrow, I believe, leading us into meme coins on Bitcoin for the first season as well. Now, obviously, all these big asset values benefit from stability, freedom, innovation, and all that sort of stuff. And so we got the dog go to the moon. Had a bit of a rally yesterday on the back of perpetuals being added to OKX exchange. That was good news. Still waiting for many of the other tier ones to list dog, but they might be sooner than later. And of course, we're looking for dog to be the #1 meme coin on Bitcoin, potentially #1 meme coin in the world at the top of the bull market. We shall see. We've got Ryzik at the moment at 1.1%. What else there? We got Pups World Peace down 11%. We got Memes Go to the Moon. There's a new one. It's down 81%. So it must have had a big rally to get there. Ord Go to the Mars is up 2,775%. So we're seeing a lot of new entrants entering the top 10 meme coins here on Runes on Bitcoin. So that's pretty interesting here on magiceden.io and ticking away there. So some changes of the guard in the top 10. $1 billion cat there, down 2%. Liquidium token down 2%. And Rooney there is down 7%, number 10. So we've had quite a bit of change of the guard because Lobo is down at number 11 out of the top 10. And so is Satoshi Nakamoto as well as Decentralized. They were all in the top 10. So they've been squeezed out for the time being out of the top 10. But like I say, we'll see how long that runs. We also look down further here at the Donald Trump. That is sitting at number 23, down 4.7%. So that might lift up towards the US election on the 5th of November. So some different things happening there on the old meme coins there on Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum, of course, starting to catch back up. It broke down past the 200-day moving average. And of course, like I said, the timing was probably a bit unfortunate with the stock market pulling back, during the week. So even though it finished strong, it was pulling back during the week. And the timing was probably a bit harsh as well. But remember, it did over net 100 million plus, obviously, had the Ether, so you would say, ETF had that conversion process going. So that's the other thing has to offset. But we managed to bounce back, which is kind of cool. We bounced back from 3,000, just below $3,100, and we're back up at 3,268, looking pretty good. And just above us is the 50-day moving average at 3,357. And of course, the ETF been performing pretty well. So fingers crossed, and of course, should benefit from anything that Trump says as well around the crypto support there. Just getting, even at the minimum, getting regulatory clarification about where the SEC pivots would be fantastic, and certainly could lead up to be very bullish for Pulsechain as well. If we get a change of the guard, they may drop a lot of their civil cases they consider, a bit silly, since the current, SEC is just doing crazy stuff, really. So that is where we are on the markets. Let's see who else has jumped in here. We got Check My Pulse says pieces are falling into place for glory. Says Check My Pulse. They are indeed. Check My Pulse says happy Friday, Hex Token family. Another week closer to the new all-time highs. Woohoo! Absolutely. It is Saturday here in New Zealand, 27th of July, of course, 12:23 p.m. And of course, we're getting towards the end of the official winter. And of course, that means that the summer is about to end in the Northern Hemisphere officially. Obviously, they tend to flow over another month or so. And I'm not expecting the weather to improve anytime soon. So probably August will be quite wet as well. We shall see. As long as we don't have any huge stormy windstorms, that'd be quite kind of helpful. All right, let's get into Pulsechain, day 441. We've got Pulse at the moment, quadruple 0485 at 1.81%. We've got Pulsex at the moment, quadruple 0266 at 1.73%. And we've got the buy and burn hit 930, or just below 929.6 billion Pulsex bought up and burned, 4.59% of the total supply, or public supply, I should say. And we got incentive token there at $2.80, up 1.27%. The ratio there drops just very slightly, 57,774 from yesterday. And the total amount of coins, 37.2 million, apparently, from the Pulsex V1 farms. Hex at the moment, 6200th of a penny on Pulsechain, almost 2%. In fact, is the best performer today. Hooray, Hex. And EHEX there at 1300th of a penny. Combined price of EHEX and PX sitting at just 3/4 of a penny at the moment combined. So not too bad. Still super cheap for Hex, man. I'm sure Hex is going to have some super duper run. It's going to be fun to see. So anybody that's been picking Hex up at this range, probably going to be very, very happy about that moving ahead. So that's day 441. Let's have a look at the charts quickly. We might just keep it on the weekly maybe. We're down here on the 37 on the RSI, and 2 good green weeks there. We're currently in a small red week, so this is looking pretty good. And we've got the Bitcoin conference, so let's see how that bodes for us over the weekend, right? That could be very, very nice indeed leading into next week. We shall see. Everything is looking pretty good as well. We've also got obviously ticking away there. Let's go back to the daily. Ticking away on the daily, we've managed to cool off after that big green rally. We had a big rally going from what I guess going from the 10th of July through to the 20th of July, so almost 10 days. And we had that big RSI went from oversold 26 all the way to almost overbought at 69, and then it has now cooled off now, and we're down at 56 on the daily. So that bodes well for us moving forward for another rally. The other cool thing is that we got what we wanted, and we got a relatively modest pullback. This is super bullish. I cannot say it enough. That is so exciting. Instead of just washing out all that gain, and that's bullish for us, folks. Very cool indeed. So let's see what the Bitcoin conference holds for Pulsechain. It could be quite good. All right, PulseX is even better, as you can see on the weekly. We've been holding this big long-term support line, and looking very bullish. In fact, we're getting even more bullish on this new metric here. The 13-week over the 34-week is looks like it's going to probably cross in a couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks. So we'll keep a lookout for that. We've got higher lows, clearly higher lows. Everything is looking pretty good here for PulseX at 2600. So, and still good value to get in right now. Still super good value. So there we go. On the daily, RSI is a little bit hotter than the Pulse at 61, but still chilled out, just tapering off a little bit there for the next move. We certainly had a bullish cross here on the 13-day over the 34-day, and we've been right on the top of that. So nice to see this ease off here. It'd be cool. We come back down to 50 to 60, and before we have another move. INC, of course, has been the talk of the town. And there's going to be a natural limit. Like, this is very bullish for INC. Once we break the 61,000, we're currently 57,800 almost. But if we break that, next target is 72, 71. And if we break that, then who knows where it could go. That being said, of course, the higher it goes, the more likely we're going to get all those people, those big people mining INC, and they could dump down the charts. Once it fills up enough, they'll let the market sort of do its rally and then sell into that move, right? So just be notable of that. The bigger the pool, bigger the AMM pool gets, the more money there is for the first person mover, particularly if they've got a lot of INC. So just take that into account in the euphoria when it does break out. All right, so that is INC. Let's go to Hex at the moment. Hex at the moment's, like I say, looking pretty good. We've got this on the weekly as well. The RSI pretty chill at 41. So lots of room to move, and the old Pulsechain being a very long accumulative phase. So only good things likely to come from this in the future. And we've got keeping up that nice structure too. We haven't come after the big rally, a 10-day rally. We only came down a certain amount, and so that's kind of cool, right? So if we take it from the bottom of the move here on Hex, we had a rally of 66%. We're still up 45%, so that's really nice to see. Alternatively, one could say we are down 12%. So yeah, looking really good. Is Hex here? Looking the 50-day. The 50-day is in yellow, and the 50-day is currently at 5600th of a penny. But we had a bullish cross here, right? So here on the 1334. And we're still riding it up pretty nicely. So everything looking pretty cool. The RSI is cooled off here on the daily at 56. So everything is looking really good for Hex, and still a very good buy right under 1 cent. So nothing too surprising there. So Hex looking very good. And eHex here is the poor cousin at the moment, just sitting around 1300th of a penny. And of course, that's some easy money to be made, get dragged up with the old Pulsechain Hex. Moving to the Hex derivatives, the best performer at the moment is Okoza on Ethereum, up 9.7% for Okoza. Okoza on Pulsechain is up 6%, and Hedron is the next ones. We've got 5.9% there on Ethereum there for Hedron. Moving to stable coins, PDI is up 5.4% at 24, or just under a quarter of a penny really. USDC, USD Tether following up behind that. LUSD with the burning there pretty flat today at the moment. Let's have a quick look at that chart, see what it looks like. It's just sitting at the bottom of the range here at the moment. So even with the burning going on, that is still just tapering, just moving sideways pretty much. Let's jump over to the influencer coins. Now we know that Matty Allen's coin was doing very well for a couple of days in a row. It's currently at $4, down 14% at the moment. So it happens to be the worst performer, but still holding up very, very well in this range at $4. Managed to get up to $4.92 2 days ago. So just a bit of tapering there. But surprise, surprise, surprise. The best one today is More Token at 13 cents, up 2.6%. Solid X, Randy's whale friend there, is up 0.8%. And then BNV1 pretty flat today at the moment. So that is where that's at. Let's go to the overall coins for Pulsechain. If I can find it. Did I go walk right past it? I think I did. There's Pulsechain there. And we got 6.6 million in volume for the weekday. So really low. That's really low. And 113,000 transactions. So really low as well. So not too much happening. The charts are looking really, really good for a big move. But nothing happening much with the volume at the moment. So it's kind of maybe the quiet before the storm there before we have that big move. Let's have a look at the other trending at the moment. Alien is doing pretty well. So Alien related to, I think this is the UFO PDC one. That's up 16.6%. DWB up 11% there as well. Neckbeard coin there up 11%. Pump there is up 10% as well. Hex Orange Address up 9%. Chichen up 8%. There's some moves. Pulsebot from Jacob's ecosystem. GameFi is up 7.3% at 90, just under $1 actually at the moment. So that's a nice little move there. What else is looking pretty PGC? Obviously, Pika is at 5% as well. So some little moves there. And Mafia on Pulsechain, another one of Jacob's projects, up 4.7%. That is it at the moment. All right, so that is kind of looking pretty good. Let's jump over to the gas prices. We got 223,000 beats at the moment, 0.4 of a penny for a Pulsex swap, 200th of a penny for a Pulsecoin transfer, and 700th of a penny for a PRC20 transfer. The validators at the moment, there is 48,875 validators, 1.56 trillion is staked, so that's up slightly over the last couple of days. That's doing okay. And we're back over $100 million. Yay! So that's kind of cool. $100,755,000 over the bridge. We got pretty much similar numbers, 29.4 million on DAI. Obviously, ETH is up and Bitcoin is up, so it's kind of cool. And if we get a bit of move on EHEX, then we'll probably have quite a bit of a jump there too. So that's it for day 441. Let's have a look at some of the activities. We can see that transactions definitely have trended down here on Pulsechain. But like I say, maybe the quiet before the storm. Active wallets as well, below 10,000. We're sitting at about 9,300 active. So it'd be nice to get that doubling, wouldn't it? Even doing better than that. So let's see how we go when we get a bit of a rally on again with that chart. Certainly set up for it. That's kind of where we are at the moment. So social media posts look like they're up a little bit. So just have to get all the influencers and people in the community spreading the word right about the opportunity in that chart right now. All right, so we're going to be starting day 442 right now. Before we do that, let's get into Hex because we haven't really talked much about Hex. We haven't had the data for Ethereum Hex here at the moment, and Pulsechain Hex is being a little bit delayed. So it's probably another half an hour before we get this data. But anyway, we have yesterday's data, which we didn't read out, and we got 7.16 Hex per T-share yesterday on Pulsechain for the previous day 440, 440, yeah, day 440. And the T-shares up down 2,500, sitting below 9.2 million T-shares on the old Pulsechain. That's in the ownership pool. The rewards though, for yesterday or day 440 for Pulsechain were 1 million Hex, so that's pretty good, and just below 66 million in the reward pool there. We had 33 liquid holder increase, but 17 miners down, sitting 123,316 miners on the old Pulsechain at the moment. So hex.com, check it out. Start mining Hex today, as they say. And that chart for Hex is kind of looking good, isn't it? It's kind of looking like it's really going to do some big things there. All right, let's see who else has jumped in the chat here. We got Archie in house. Hi all, good to see Archie, the Don of the Syndicate, doing an absolutely amazing job. Big shout out to you, Archie. Sometime in New England, 80s to 90s Fahrenheit, poolside, barefoot, everything is growing. Life is good, says Check My Boston. Very nice to hear that. We got Crypto Kool-Aid in house there. Kiwi, my man. Hey, Crypto Kool-Aid, hope you're doing well. Keep up the great work with his gaming designing, and of course part of what's the family called? What's the family called? I've forgotten that. I've forgotten the family. What's it called? Mind blank. Was it the Kool-Aid crew? No, the Gearheads. They're called the Gearheads. I was just kidding. All right, so smash the likes. The peeps definitely smash the likes there as well. So that is pretty much it. So should we have a quick look at the Pulse Mafia? I wasn't going to do it. Have a look at today. Have a bit of a break, but let's have a look at the Pulse Mafia and see how that's ticking away. The number one GameFi on Pulsechain, of course, is Pulse Mafia, and for good reason. We've got 895 players at the moment, 17 crime families, and 4.6 billion Pulse in the vault. Yeah, vault is looking pretty damn good. 4.6 billion. That's at the current price of Pulse, and the Pulse chart's definitely looking like it's about set to go for another rally. That's $224,000 US in that moment. Now, the big thing, of course, is that the game's supposed to go live at 5 billion Pulse, but is the team going to be ready? Big question mark. Is the team going to be ready to launch the game by then? Because it can't be too far away, right? 4.6 billion. So especially where the charts are looking. So that is it. Now, obviously, when you're developing a game, you need time to get everything right, all the ducks in a row. We know that we're in phase 5, pre-launch phase 5 of 11. And so we've got the big map coming up next. We've had lots of little bit of upgrades along the way. Yeah, you've got to certainly have the game, a big game like this, have the game launch right. But you also don't want to take too long either, because you don't want to get too much fatigue in the community as well, while they wait for the stages to go. So you've got to get that balance. Hopefully it's not too far away from where we are now. Maybe 2 months, something like that. That would probably be kind of the max. Otherwise it starts to drag on a bit. So we shall see. We do know that you already get fatigue, right, with anything that takes much longer than what people expect. But so far everything's been going pretty well with the timing. So if we can get the map out maybe next week or so, that'd be pretty cool. And then maybe some shorter stages for some of the other pre-live stages. That'd be pretty nice. Obviously, we're probably going to blow past the 5 billion Pulse before we get to the game launch. So I don't know whether it's going to be 6 billion or whatever it's going to be by the time we go live. But obviously, the vault's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger while we wait. So yeah, just keep the engagement up there. Keep learning about the game and participating. That's probably the big thing there. Keep spreading the word, telling more people, getting more players, and helping them get set up. Education is always pretty important with the games like this. But it is the number one GameFi project on Pulsechain and doing a great job. Let's have a quick look at the families at the moment. Here we got the Syndicate there at number 1. We got the Gearheads at number 2. Now, congratulations to the Gearheads. Looks like they've finally reached Family Plus. So that's good news for the Gearheads there. Salamanca's is at number 3. They're led by the Wild Nunzio. We've got the Yakuza at number 4 there, led by Luciano. The Hustlers at the moment led by Voltron. And of course, those are the top 5 families getting paid. Now, the vault pays out 10% when it does start. 10% of the vault gets paid out. So that's over $22,000 a week at the moment for the top 5 families. And of course, they get allocated 30% to the top family, all the way down to 10% for the bottom family, number 5 at the moment. Now, we only have one allegiance at the moment. That is the Directorate. That's got the Syndicate in it, the Yakuza and the Hustlers in it at the moment. So those in the Syndicate there, in the Directorate, so the top 5. But top 6, 7, and 8 also have a conditional payout position. And of course, that has got Mumbo Italianos there, the Mugnows, which are actually, I think, number 3 over on BNB chain, and the Grand Clan there, led by YouTuber Hansi Crypto, sitting at number 8, holding on to that spot. Interesting enough, the number 1 family over on BNB, the OG Gangsters, are sitting here at number 9, just outside of the payout pools. Interesting there, what's happening with that family, we shall see. We've got Costa Nostra, the Trump family there, led by Brazology. who I think is already probably part of the gearheads or something like that as well. There's lots of little informal alliances going on there. La Mano and Nero there, the Supremo Starcanos, the Chinese traders, the Greys there with Coach X. We haven't seen Coach X do much at all here, but of course they run their big PDC ecosystem on Pulsechain. So it's great to have some, crossover with different tokenomic ecosystems. Obviously, we've got the gearheads with their token ecosystem and the Greys with their token ecosystem as well. So it's kind of cool to see that crossover as well. That is pretty much it on that. Obviously, you can buy keys at the moment for $20 when you sell big prizes. So I won't go through too much of that. And of course, the marketplace is trading pretty well also, with the price floor having moved up quite a bit. Let's jump over to the BNB chain. Obviously, the chain, it's operating over there as well. We've got 873 players over on BNB, 17 crime families, and 122 BNB. So it's ticking over there at the moment. The vault itself is worth $71,133. So that's pretty cool. We haven't cracked 300K based on when I've been observing. So 71.1 plus, what do we say? 224, was it? Something like that, 224. I think it was something like that. And so that puts us, I don't know what happened to my calculator. 71 plus 224. I think that's kind of the numbers there. So sitting at 295. Looks like we're sitting at $295,000 US combined. So clearly a successful game straight out of the gate. So we're waiting for the next phase of launch. What else? Let's have a quick look at the families over here. OG Yanks is at number 1. Like I say, they were sitting at number 9 over on Pulsechain, just outside the money positions. But here they're number 1 at the moment. Syndicate sitting at number 2. And of course, the Mugnails number 3 there. They were sitting in that top 6 to 8 spot there. And the Yakuza sitting number 4, the Illuminati number 5. So we've got 2 allegiances over there, the OG Alliance. And of course, you can see that down with these other families. And of course, the Syndicate got the Directorate there. So Syndicate's still holding pretty strong there. Lots of other families, of course, in the list. I'm just going through a couple of them there. Number 6 to 8, we've got the Costa Nostras here, the Peaky Blinders. Then out at the bottom here, we've got the Untouchables of Crypto Pride. He's a BNB influencer, the old Crypto Pride there. The Cartel, the Clan, Los Salvage, I don't even know how to say that. The Salvation Army there, William Booth. And they've actually got the Family Plus. That's pretty interesting, since we haven't seen them do much else. So that's William Booth. Congratulations to them. The Mafia group's also got Player Plus as well, led by Gengi there, and the High Table there as well, and a Chinese Triad. So there's lots of different families over there. A couple of them have got a Family Plus now, which is kind of cool to see. So there have been a few changes in the family rankings there. The cool thing about over on BNB is that the businesses are still there, 42 of them, and of course 50,000 Mafia is still up for grabs as well, $20 to buy keys over there. And the market is slowly ticking away. Now, obviously, the activity is mostly on Pulsechain at the moment compared to the activity on BNB. But the internet gives a lot of opportunity for picking up cheaper Mafia and, of course, potential to do more things over there if you're a new entrant, particularly around being a family, things like that. All right, so that is kind of the play there at the moment. We're obviously waiting for the next phase, which is the Mafia map, which is number 6. That is a huge stage, massive, and we're looking forward to it. Then, of course, after that, we're going to have trade ups and pre-rankings. Hopefully, they'll be relatively short phases. We'll see how they go there. Those two, even if they're slightly longer phases than we expect, then we've got communication and kill simulator, and then the vault requirement. So, yeah, let's see how the time frame goes. But you've got to get that balance between development, getting things right. Obviously, you've got to have that number 1, but also with growing in fatigue, waiting fatigue as well. People want to play the game, etc., and get on with it. So that balance is going to be pretty important. But so far, so good. I think so far, so good. The other thing we're going to have that's going to be new is bullets and health. So we're going to have more tradable tokens. That's going to be really important. I'm really excited to see the economy on Mafia play out. So really looking forward to that. Keys are very multi-purpose. They're going to have lots of different uses for that as well. So they're going to be fun to see as well. So that's going to continue to fund the game, particularly on Pulsechain side. So kind of cool. There's lots of cool things, features in the game, and they keep updating this Wikipedia. Let's have a look else we're down here? Yeah, so I'm very excited about the central bank and the economy. It's going to be really fun to see that play out. So that's just going to expand the financial dynamics of the game. And reflect the fundamentals of the game, right? People, being killed or crime, going on, all sorts of stuff like that. So territories being taken over, things like that. It's going to be pretty fun to see the game theory play out in the game. So kind of cool. Very, very excited to see, and it's going to be interesting to see the ratios trade as well between in-game assets and tokens and extra mural game. I don't know, extra game tokens there like Mafia bullets and health. So it's going to be fun too. So it's lots still to come down the line there for the number one GameFi on the old Pulsechain. All right, let's see here. Let's wrap up. I'm going to wrap up now, but let's see here. What's that? Crypto Kool-Aid says the ones that are going to kill you, says Crypto Kool-Aid. That's going to be pretty hard to do that since I run a kill squad. So it's going to be pretty hard there. Crypto Kool-Aid says gearheads. Yeah, gearheads. That's right. What else? Happy to get on a stream with your Hex token. Yeah, maybe I'm not quite 100% yet, so still just ramping back up, but maybe something for the future there. Crypto Kool-Aid. We can talk about this for hours on end, says Crypto Kool-Aid. Yeah, it's definitely something for the future there when I've got the energy to do it. Remember, timing excellence is the most important, not delivering with a poor executed system. Yeah, but the balance has still got to be done right? There is player fatigue waiting, and so they've got to get that timeline. Not too long, not too short, just right is probably the way to put it. My guess on the vault, it will be double before it launches. Yeah, so there will be a lot of player fatigue and waiting fatigue, depending on how long it is. So hopefully it is sooner than later. That's probably most of the people. That's the feedback I'm hearing from the market at large. So probably be hopefully they get that right. All right, so let's end the poll. We've got when will the bull market kick into mega move? We got September 38%. We got November 33%. We got October 27%, and we got August 0%. So what's September for the win there? And that's definitely when we got the interest rate pivot. So we shall see how that gets on. All right, that is looking good, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. We're just ramping back up into the mix. And if you haven't played Mafia, definitely consider it as one of your fun things to do on Pulsechain and BNB. In the meantime, though, the charts are starting to look really good for another setup for that next leg on Pulsechain. So really, really nice to see what we've seen in the charts. So it could be very exciting to see where we go from here. All right. Going to be good. All right, I'll catch you on the next one. Great stream, sir, says Crypto Kool-Aid. Thank you very much. And great to see you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to play out something from Richard on the way out. Take care, everybody, and I'll catch you again on the next stream. Until then, onwards and upwards. Let's go. Pulsechain Magic Up Ride. Peace out. Bye for now.
In theory, if someone were a billionaire and they had like all this money, why wouldn't they just buy more of the thing they liked instead of dumping the thing they liked? Like if Bezos bought shares in Amazon, would you be pissed off? If Apple does a stock buyback and they buy more of their own shares in their company back from the public, which is a way to turn earnings into yield for the shareholders, do you get mad and yell at Apple? And so we had to come up with a word for this fan fiction fantasy, which is the opposite of a rug pull, called a magic carpet ride. And so if you're worried about risk of a rug pull, what weighted value have you given the risk of a magic carpet ride? And it's just hilarious to me.